In a quiet village nestled in the heart of the countryside, there was an entrenched belief that having sons brought prosperity and honor to a family. Sons were seen as the future providers destined to lift their families out of hardship. In contrast, daughters, who were viewed as burdens, bound by home duties, with little perceived value beyond marriage. Boys were sent to schools, spending their days at playgrounds. This mindset led to a grim reality. Mothers of daughters often faced abandonment or mistreatment by their husbands. In despair, many were forced to surrender their children to the orphanage in town, hoping they might have a better life. In one such home, a woman named Aisha gave birth to a baby girl. Her husband, Pierre, was visibly disappointed. He had longed for a son to carry on his name and secure the family's future. A few years later, Aisha became pregnant again. Pierre's hopes soared, but they were dashed when she gave birth to another girl. His disdain for his daughters grew with each passing day. The young girls, Layla and Amara, learned to rely solely on their mother for comfort and care while dedicating themselves to assisting her with the household chore. For their father, he showed them no affection. Years went by, and Pierre, desperate for a son, urged Aisha to try again. This time, luck will be on our side, he insisted. Months later, Aisha gave birth once more to another girl. Pierre's anger boiled over. That very morning, he made a cruel decision. He announced he would take Layla and Amara to the orphanage in town, determined to rid himself of the burden he perceived them to be. Aisha pleaded with him, tears streaming down her face. "Please don't do this. The orphanage is no place for our daughters." But Pierre was unmoved. "It's for the best," he replied coldly. "At least without the older ones, life will be easier." As dawn broke, Layla, the elder sister, bid a tearful farewell to her mother. She held her younger sister Amara's hand tightly, promising to protect her no matter what. They boarded the bus with Pierre, their hearts heavy with sorrow. When they reached the town, he led them to a bustling market and instructed them to wait while he went to find something to eat. But Layla saw this as their chance. She whispered to Amara, "We have to run, now." Clutching her sister's hand, Layla led Amara through the crowded streets, running as fast as their legs could carry them. They didn't stop until they found a hidden alley to catch their breath. Hours passed, and when their father returned to the market, the girls were gone. He searched frantically, but as night fell, he gave up. Without a second thought for their safety, he boarded a bus back to the village, telling himself he'd done all he could. Back home, Aisha believed her daughters were at the orphanage. Her heart ached, but she clung to the hope that she might visit them one day. However, Pierre's cruelty didn't end there. One night, when their newborn baby cried incessantly, he snapped. Yelling at Aisha, he stormed out of the house, never to return. Meanwhile, in the city, fate took a kinder turn for Layla and Amara. As rain poured heavily, the girls sought shelter under a cardboard box. A car passing by slowed down, and a couple inside noticed the shivering children. The woman, Maria, stepped out and approached them gently. "What are you doing out here, all alone?" she asked. Layla explained their plight. Maria's heart broke as she listened. She, too, had been abandoned as a child simply for being a girl. Without hesitation, she and her husband Daniel took the sisters in. For Aisha, who was now alone, she started working for people in the farms. With little she earned, she provided for her and the little one. She always saved some money that could take her to the orphanage in town to bring back her daughters. Days turned into weeks, and the girls flourished in their new home. Maria and Daniel enrolled them in the best schools, where Layla and Amara excelled academically. They never forgot their past, drawing strength from their hardships. One morning, Aisha took the bus to the orphanage looking forward to meet her daughters, but the news she received melted her heart. She searched in all the girls, but could never find her lovely daughters. She returned home with no strength left, told Janet what happened. With her mother, who was now weak, despite Janet's young age, she took over the work in the fields, now trying to find food for both of them. As they grew, they transformed into confident, compassionate young women, eventually inheriting the family business from their foster parents. One evening, as they sat down for dinner, Layla hesitated before speaking. "There's something we need to tell you," she began. "We have a biological mother back in the village. We never mentioned her because we were afraid you wouldn't adopt us if you knew." Maria and Daniel were taken aback. "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" Maria asked. Her voice filled with concern. "What if your mother has been suffering all these years, searching for you?" The next morning, the two girls set off for the village. Layla remembered every turn and landmark. From their journey years ago, as they approached their childhood home, they saw Aisha in the yard, her figure aged and worn from years of hardship and sorrow. When she saw her daughters, she froze, disbelief etched across her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she ran to embrace them. "I searched for you," Aisha sobbed. "I went to the orphanage, but they told me no such children had ever been brought there. I thought I'd lost you forever." Layla and Amara hugged her tightly. "We're here now, Mama, and we're never leaving you again." As they reunited, Aisha told them about their youngest sister who had gone the fields. When the girl returned, Aisha introduced her. "These are your sisters I always told you about." With no time to waste, the sisters packed their mother's belongings. "Say goodbye to this village," Layla said firmly. "You're coming home with us." On their way back to the car, they spotted Pierre struggling under a load of firewood. Seeing his daughters, he dropped the bundle and ran toward them. "Please, forgive me," he pleaded, tears streaming down his face. "I was wrong." But Layla and Amara drove past him without a word. Their silence spoke volumes. Pierre fell to his knees, weeping, but it was too late. The scars he'd left on their hearts could not be undone. The villagers, witnessing the scene, murmured among themselves. They saw the transformation of the once dismissed daughters into successful women and realized the error of their beliefs. From that day on, the village's perception of girls began to change. Back in the city, the reunited family built a life filled with love and happiness. The sisters never forgot where they came from and used their success to help other girls in different villages and ensure that no child would ever be abandoned for being born a girl